ever just get lost in a game? Like totally zoned in.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That feeling. That's what we're going to tap into today.
Okay.
We're talking gamification in education,
Sounds interesting.
specifically using it for assessments.
Okay.
I found this really cool article from Evaluation Spark called Gamification in Education, how it enhances learning and assessment.
Hmm.
And that's got some pretty wild stuff in there.
Okay.
We're talking points rewards, even like virtual pie fights,
Really?
all in the name of making learning more effective.
Wow, that's pretty out there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So like how does that even work? Like how do you take a game and actually make it educational?
Well, it's not necessarily about turning the entire lesson into a game.
Right. Yeah.
It's more about taking those things that make games so engaging.
Right.
Like, points badges, leaderboards, that kind of instant feedback you get.
Yeah.
And then weaving that into the learning process.
Okay, so it's like you're still learning the material, but you're getting that extra little like boost of motivation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the article really highlights this idea of real-time assessment.
Oh, interesting.
So instead of waiting for a test at the end, teachers can actually see how students are understanding things as they go.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it's like having this constant feedback loop.
Makes sense.
But before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's take a step back.
Okay.
What exactly do we mean when we say gamifying education?
Well, it's about taking those core elements that make games so addictive, right?
Yeah.
The points, leveling up, maybe a little bit of friendly competition, and bringing those into the classroom.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture.
Yeah, so like imagine a history lesson where answering questions correctly lets you earn virtual gold to build a castle.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
Or a science quiz where you climb a leaderboard as you master different concepts. It's about tapping into that natural drive we all have to achieve and succeed, but in a way that makes learning the real reward.
You know what that reminds me of? This language learning app I tried a while back.
Oh, yeah.
It had this feature where you could unlock virtual travel destinations as you progress through the lessons.
Oh, that's neat.
And it really worked. I felt like I was actually working towards something.
Right. It wasn't just like abstract knowledge.
Exactly. It felt tangible. It made me want to keep going.
That's a perfect example of how gamification isn't just about making things superficially fun.
Right.
It's about using those deeper psychological mechanisms that make games so engaging.
Yeah, and using them to actually enhance the learning experience.
Exactly.
Now, the article also dives into something that I think we can all relate to. Review games.
Oh, yeah, those are always fun.
Right. Instead of the dreaded sit-down test, these games let students show what they know in a more interactive way,
I like that.
and often with a little bit of competition thrown in.
Who doesn't love a little competition?
So, I mean, who wouldn't want to study for a test if it felt like playing a game?
That's a good point.
And they highlight some pretty interesting examples.
Like what?
One is called the Super Pie game, where students get to throw virtual pies at their teacher.
Whoa, hold on.
Isn't that right?
That's amazing.
So you answer questions correctly, you earn points.
Okay.
More points means more pies to throw.
I bet the kids love that.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
But like, how does that actually assess their learning?
Well, the game tracks which questions they get right and wrong.
Oh, okay.
So it shows what topics they've mastered and where they might need a little more help.
That's actually really clever.
Yeah. And then there's Pie Fling, which is more like a quiz show style game.
Oh, fun.
Students can compete individually or in teams.
Oh, so there's like a social element too.
Exactly. It really adds to the excitement.
Okay, I gotta admit, I'm kind of intrigued by this whole pie throwing thing.
Yeah, it definitely makes things memorable.
But beyond the fun and games, how do these games actually provide valuable data?
Well, let's take that Super Pie game, for example. It might give you multiple choice questions, say, about historical dates.
Okay.
Each correct answer earns you points. Those points translate into pies.
Right.
More points, more pies to fling at a cartoon version of the teacher.
I can see why the kids would be motivated.
Right. But here's the key. The game's keeping track of everything.
Like what?
Which questions they aced, which ones they missed. So the teacher gets this really clear picture of what the students know and what they're struggling with.
So it's like getting feedback all throughout the game, not just at the end?
Exactly. It's like having a secret window into their understanding.
And then the teacher can use that information to adjust their teaching.
Right. Like if they see a lot of students are missing questions on a specific topic,
Yeah.
they can go back, revisit it, maybe try a different approach.
It's like a constant cycle of learning and adapting.
Exactly. And that's where the real power of gamified assessments lies.
So it's not just about making review fun.
Right.
It's about giving teachers the information they need to help each student succeed.
Precisely. It's a win-win.
Students are engaged, teachers get valuable data,
Couldn't be better.
but I'm sure there are things to watch out for too, right? Like potential downsides to this whole gamification thing.
Oh, definitely. It's not all fun and games.
Pun intended.
Yeah, pun intended. The article actually talks about this need to strike a balance
Between what?
between the fun and the learning.
Yeah, that makes sense. You don't want the game to overshadow the actual content.
Exactly. It's got to be about enhancing the learning, not distracting from it.
Right, like we don't want the competition to get so intense that students forget what they're actually supposed to be learning.
That's a great point.
And another thing is the difficulty level.
Oh, yeah, you've got to make sure it's challenging enough to keep them engaged.
Right, but not so hard that they get frustrated and give up.
It's got to be that Goldilocks zone.
Just right.
Just the right amount of challenge to keep them motivated and learning.
I can see how that could be tricky, especially in a classroom with students at different levels.
Yeah, figuring out how to design these games effectively is a real skill.
So what can teachers do? Like, what are some strategies to make sure they're getting the most out of gamified learning?
One thing they can do is offer different levels of difficulty within the game.
Oh, that's smart.
That way, students can choose a path that fits their current skill level.
So everyone can feel challenged, but not overwhelmed.
Exactly. Another strategy is to incorporate collaborative games,
Ooh, I like that.
where students work together towards a common goal.
That's a great way to encourage teamwork,
Right. Plus, it takes the focus off of individual competition and puts it on shared success.
which can be really beneficial for some students.
Definitely.
And of course, it's important to remember that all this data from the games,
Yeah,
it's only valuable if teachers know how to use it.
that's a crucial point.
Like if a game shows that a lot of students are struggling with a certain concept, that's a sign for the teacher to maybe revisit that topic, explain it differently, offer some extra support.
It's about using the data to make sure every student has the chance to succeed.
Exactly. Personalized learning at its finest.
So it sounds like gamified learning has the potential to be pretty transformative.
Oh, absolutely. It can make learning more engaging, more personalized, more effective.
It's exciting to think about all the possibilities.
It really is.
And I don't know about you, but I'm already starting to think about how I can incorporate some of these ideas into my own life.
Yeah, me too. It's making me rethink how I approach learning in general.
This has been a really insightful conversation. I'm feeling pretty inspired right now.
Me too. It's great to see how games can be used for something so positive.
Absolutely. And with that, I think it's time to shift gears.
Okay.
We're going to explore some even broader applications of gamification in our next segment, so stay tuned.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
I was just thinking, as we were talking about those games, it made me think back to my own school days.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what if some of those really dry subjects had been gamified? I wonder how different things might have been.
Yeah, I think we can all relate to that.
Right. Like, imagine if instead of memorizing historical dates, we were on, like, a quest to unlock a hidden treasure or something.
That would be pretty cool.
Or instead of wrestling with those complex scientific formulas,
Right?
we were solving a puzzle to save the world.
It'd be way more engaging, for sure.
It's like turning learning into an adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's what those language learning apps have done so well.
Oh yeah, they've really embraced gamification.
Yeah, they use points rewards, sometimes even virtual currency.
Right. Keeps people motivated.
And they often have a social element too.
Yeah, you can compete with friends, track each other's progress.
It's like turning language learning into a game.
And it works.
Wow,
I mean, people are actually enjoying learning a new language.
that's pretty impressive.
And it makes me think, with technology becoming so integrated into classrooms,
Right.
there's so much potential to make learning more interactive and engaging.
Oh, absolutely. But it's important to remember, gamification isn't just about slapping some points and badges onto a lesson.
Right.
It's got to be more thoughtful than that.
It's got to serve a purpose.
Exactly. You need to integrate those game mechanics in a way that actually supports the learning objectives.
So it's not just about making things fun for the sake of it.
Right. The fun needs to have a purpose.
The goal is to make students actually want to learn right.
Yeah, to make them excited to tackle challenges and discover new things.
Because when students are engaged and motivated, they're more likely to actually remember what they're learning.
Exactly. They develop a deeper understanding of the subject matter.
That makes a lot of sense, but I'm curious, are there any potential downsides to gamification?
That's a good question. There are definitely some things to consider.
Like what?
Well, one concern is that the focus on competition and rewards could actually undermine intrinsic motivation.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like, some students might get so focused on earning points or beating their classmates
Yeah.
that they lose sight of the joy of learning for its own sake.
It's like if you're only motivated by the reward, you miss out on the satisfaction of actually learning and growing.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance.
So how do you find that balance?
Well, I think the role of the educator is crucial.
Right. They need to create a classroom culture where learning is valued for its own sake.
Yeah. A place where students feel comfortable taking risks, making mistakes.
And learning from those experiences.
Exactly. And the teacher needs to use those game mechanics thoughtfully, not just as a gimmick.
It's not about turning every lesson into a video game.
Right. It's about using those elements strategically to create a more engaging and effective learning experience.
So we've talked about review games, language learning apps. It seems like we've just scratched the surface of what's possible with gamification.
Oh, definitely. The possibilities are endless.
So where else do you see potential?
Well, one area that comes to mind is STEM education.
Oh yeah, like science, technology, engineering, math.
Exactly. Imagine using gamification to teach those complex concepts.
Ooh, like how?
Well, think about a virtual reality simulation where students can build and test their own virtual bridges.
Wow.
Or design and launch their own rockets.
That would be amazing.
It would bring those abstract concepts to life.
Instead of just reading about physics and engineering, they'd be experiencing it firsthand.
Exactly. And it wouldn't be limited to STEM fields either.
Oh, really?
You could use gamification to teach history, literature, pretty much anything.
So like interactive timelines or historical simulations for history?
Yeah. Or turn classic novels into immersive choose-your-own-adventure games.
Wow. The possibilities are pretty mind-blowing.
The key is to think outside the box.
And to keep the learning objectives in mind.
Always. Gamification should never sacrifice educational rigor for the sake of entertainment.
It's about making learning more engaging, more meaningful, more effective.
I think that's a great way to sum it up.
This conversation has really got me thinking about all the different ways we can use gamification.
Me too. It's exciting to see how it can transform education.
And inspire a whole new generation of learners.
Absolutely. It has the power to make education more accessible and engaging for everyone.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty inspired.
Yeah, me too. All this talk of quests and puzzles and virtual worlds.
It's making me want to bring a little more game-like fun into my own life.
I think that's a great idea. We can all find ways to gamify our own learning and personal growth.
Yeah, it's about finding those elements of challenge, reward, and engagement that make us want to keep striving and improving.
Exactly. And on that note, I think it's time to move on to our final segment.
Okay, sounds good. What are we diving into next?
Well, we've talked about gamification in education.
Right.
But it goes way beyond that.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. We're going to explore some even broader applications of gamification.
Like what?
You'll have to wait and see.
Okay, you've got me intrigued.
I think you'll find it pretty fascinating.
Well, let's dive in then.
Right.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. You know, all this talk about gamification, it's really got me thinking about how we learn as kids.
Oh, yeah.
Like they learn through play, exploration, experimentation. They're just naturally drawn to games and activities that spark their curiosity.
It's true. They're always looking for fun and engaging ways to learn.
And it's like with gamification, we're sort of rediscovering that power of play.
Right, but this time we're doing it in a more intentional way.
Yeah, like we're taking those elements of play and using them strategically to enhance learning.
Exactly. And with all the technology we have now, we can create these incredibly immersive and engaging experiences.
Virtual worlds, simulations, interactive challenges.
Things that would have blown our minds when we were kids.
Totally. But, you know, it's not just about classrooms.
Oh, yeah. This goes way beyond that.
What do you mean?
Well, gamification can be applied to all sorts of things.
Like what?
Work, personal development, even societal challenges.
Yeah, well, hold on. Societal challenges.
Yeah, think about it. Like climate change, poverty, access to health care. These are all complex issues that need creative solutions.
Right.
And gamification can be a really powerful tool for raising awareness, mobilizing communities, inspiring action.
So like you could use games to help people understand these issues better.
Exactly. Make them more relatable, more understandable, and maybe even more actionable.
That's a really interesting idea.
Like imagine a game that simulates the challenges of sustainable living.
Oh, wow.
Or one that helps people navigate the complexities of the healthcare system.
It could help people make more informed decisions.
And contribute to positive change.
That's pretty amazing. It's like using the power of games to make the world a better place.
I think it has that potential for sure.
So we've talked about a lot today. Review games, virtual worlds tackling global issues. Where do we go from here? What's the next step in this gamification revolution?
Well, I think the key is to keep innovating,
Okay.
keep experimenting, push the boundaries of what's possible.
And never lose sight of the core principle,
Right.
that learning should be engaging, meaningful, and fun.
Exactly. Fun is so important.
You know, this conversation is really reminding me of something.
What's that?
We often get so caught up in the seriousness of learning and work
Yeah.
that we forget to have fun.
It's true. We need to remember that play isn't just for kids.
It's essential for everyone.
For creativity, problem-solving, overall well-being.
I think that's a great takeaway.
Me too.
So to all our listeners out there,
Yeah.
we challenge you to think about how you can use gamification in your own life
To make learning more engaging.
to tackle challenges.
To make a positive impact on the world.
Keep playing, keep learning, and keep exploring.
Thanks for listening.